Hello everyone, thanks for coming outside with me today. Today I'd like to talk about working on your own equipment. Is it possible, and is it something you should do whether you're a newbie or a veteran? Personally, I don't think there's anything greater than having your equipment be worked on by you. You know if you messed it up, you know if you did it right, and there's no greater satisfaction than ensuring that your equipment is done right and that you were the one who was able to do it. But there are a lot of tools that you need, a lot of proper tools that you specifically need, and some tools that you should have in order to properly work on your equipment and get it running as smoothly as possible. So I'll put a full gear list description of all the tools that I use in the description below if you're not interested in watching the rest of the video. But if you would like to stick around, I'm going to go through everything visually and talk about why I've selected certain things and what I specifically use them for when I'm going to work on my own equipment. So we'll start with the big components first, which for work on your own equipment, that's going to be a bow press of some sort and a draw board of some sort. Bow presses can be tricky, and particularly because you can have something like a Bowmaster bow press, which is like 65 bucks. That's pretty inexpensive, but then you could use like an LCA, Last Chance Archery, Easy Green, or Deluxe, which is $400 or more. Truth be told, I've used both styles of presses, and although I love the simplicity and the ease of use with the Easy Green press that I currently own, I used a Bowmaster for years and it worked great. I got to do everything that I could need to do with a bow and more. I've changed strings and cables, cam modules, served in peep sights. I've even actually been able to break it down, bow down properly, where I could take the axle pin out in order to swap cam spacers. So it can be done. Sure, it's a lot slower and it's not nearly as efficient as using a different kind of bow press, like a Last Chance Archery, Easy Green or Deluxe press, or a boa constrictor or something like that, or an express press. Sure, it's not the same level of simplicity and speed and ease of use, but it's going to get the job done and it's going to do it safely and effectively. So along with the bow press, in order to adjust string cable lengths, in order to get your cam or cams in sync, the next best thing you're going to want to use is a draw board. Now you can get away without having a draw board by just drawing your bow back and trying to peek around the cams to see if your stops are hitting at the same time, or have somebody else look at the stops while you're at full draw, but it's still not an indicator of where it actually would sit before you hit the back wall. So when you hit the back wall, you could pull it too far and bring both stops in together and it looks like it's fine, when in reality a top stop or bottom stop could be under rotated, not hitting at the same time, and you could have severe tuning issues because of that. So it's best to have a draw board. Now I've made my own. If you Google search DIY draw board, you'll find a ton of different results. You can buy some for example from Last Chance Archery. You can buy a draw board, but it's best just to make one. They're pretty simple. I made mine for probably around less than $30. This is how I have my bow press here, my home shop set up. All my tools are right here as I'm working on a bow, standing right here, basically where the camera is standing. And these aren't necessarily in the order that in terms of importance or in terms of price, but they're definitely how I have them arranged on my bench. This is a set, and a inexpensive set, from Husky of Torx head wrenches, and then Allen key wrenches in metric and in standard. If you're going to try to work on your bow, and that's really just to do anything from changing draw length modules, changing draw weight, to adjusting sights and rests, and even stuff that you don't need a bow press for, you're going to need a set of Allen keys. This is a bow square by Easton. This is an invaluable piece of equipment if you're going to start figuring out center shot and also figuring out your string angle, your knocking points, so on and so forth. And along with this tool in that same pocket is a piece of carbon arrow. Now this you might think is not really a tool, but it really is a tool. But with this T-square and this little segment, probably about a foot long, 13-inch long carbon segment, I'm able to adjust center shot and check for knock height and so on and so forth so quickly. I can just knock this on the string. It's not this big long thing sticking out, and so I'm able to really tune bows very quickly and easily with these two pieces of equipment. Having a couple pair of flat, gripless needle nose pliers is really a big deal. Now, all these orange handle pliers that you see me use, I got for Harbor Freight for I think $2 or $3 a piece, and I've used them for a long time. They've been incredibly invaluable. Any little ticky-tacky thing, it's great to have these kind of long style needle nose pliers around. Going along with that, it's also great to have a pair of pliers that are shorter with a little bit of a wire cutter in them, also with some teeth in them, because now this you're not going to be using to grip onto servings and string materials because you're going to end up breaking it. But these are great for making D-loops, these little tiny pliers. You stick that in there, you crank it open, and you can use and you can create your own D loops there at your own house. So these little pliers are really nice for that. I also like to keep some sort of box knife around. You'll always need some sort of razor sharp blade to be cutting off strands for serving in peeps. You have to be careful with stuff like that. But I like to use a super sharp razor blade as compared to a pair of scissors. I feel like I can be a lot more efficient, a lot more effective doing something like that. I can have a pair of hobby scissors. These are scissors I would use to tie flies with, so very tiny jaws, super sharp needle-like points. I have a curved pair and a straight pair. They just do a wonderful job of clipping servings and just keeping everything neat and tidy without using a big gawky pair of scissors. Now, these are something I got at Harbor Freight, and you can pick them up for like $5-6. Actually, this one I even got at Ollie's here in Pennsylvania. It's just a 4-inch round magnetic tray. So if I take off a side, I take off a rest, or I take off cam module screws or something else like that, throw it right in this tray. It's not going to fall on the floor. I know exactly where it is. I can tip it upside down. I can do all sorts of stuff. And I have some lighters here. I just keep a couple on hand. They're great for when you melt down the ends of D-loops, melt down the ends of peeps, and all other sorts of end serving so it doesn't come loose. You can just buy yourself a roll of end serving of some sort. This is BCY's 3D end serving. Both of these are in green and black. Pretty standard colors that you would see on most bows. So that's what I have here at my shop. On the underside, I do keep a level, and it does have a magnet on it. So again, just like those trays, it sticks right nicely to the underside of my bow press. It doesn't go anywhere if I knock it. And I use this to measure levels on rests and other sorts of things. And of course, I have just smaller bubble levels, which you can use for strings and stuff. These are a real super cheap pair off of eBay. I think they're Bow Tactics. So not the best pair. I think they're like $6-7 for the pair. But they're nice to, if you want to use a leveling system for your strings or for your sights or for something like that. It's not a bad tool to have around. So this is definitely for sure not an all-encompassing list. There's definitely plenty of tools you could buy that are more specific for jobs. You could definitely buy better versions of certain tools, and there are probably a lot more different tools that I could add to my repertoire as time goes on. These are for sure the tools that are going to get you started, and like I said, most of these tools are inexpensive. I buy them from Harbor Freight, eBay, and other places online like Amazon and Craigslist and Penswood Classifieds here in Pennsylvania. And it's super easy to find these things, and as long as you utilize them in the right way, you can really start working on your own equipment. So that's all for this video. If you have any further questions on how I tune my equipment, what specific things do I do for tying in peep sights and D-loops and working with the drawboard and timing cams, or any other questions about archery, it's a lot easier to hit me up over on Facebook. I can respond to those messages a lot sooner, a lot quicker than I can here on YouTube. But if you don't want to do that, you can always leave me a comment here on YouTube, and I'll get back to you as fast as I can. I hope you're able to get out and enjoy the sport of archery, enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose, and definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation, and we'll get to see you next time.